This is Manny Mohtadi, the Curtain Call Kid, one of the guys that filmed the Curtain Call, and you're listening to Perched on the Top Rope.
It's me, it's the ROB mobbing once again with Perched on the Top Rope, and this episode is just too sweet.
Welcome, everyone, to Perched on the Top Rope. That's right, from what you just heard with that show opener, we have Manny Mohtadi, the Curtain Call Kid, former WWE writer Rob Hochman, and of course, we have the guy formerly from Sportskeeda, soon to start his 30-day trial and then full-time write for Wrestling Inc. I am Lee Walker. Manny, we just came off of the 25th anniversary of the Curtain Call. I want to know, how did you celebrate that day, May 19th?
Actually, I did a few podcasts. That's how I celebrated it. It's like, yeah, let's do a couple on the 25th anniversary. I actually accidentally double booked again tonight, but luckily the other one, didn't get back to me, which is great.
We're better anyways.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. So Manny, just coming off the 25th anniversary, the whole Curtain Call thing, pretty amazing stuff considering that in those days and still to this day, WWE doesn't like people filming at shows. I gotta ask, how did Jason sneak the camera in?
That's a very, very good question. We talk about sneaking in, and WWE talks about smuggling, sneaking, whatever you want to call it. It is further from that as possible. We never snuck in the cameras, even though I've mentioned sneaking it in or smuggling it in. We never smuggled or we never snuck in. Here's how we did it. We did it about 7-8 times, all NASA Coliseum and Madison Square Garden house shows. What we did is it's a VHS-C camera, so it's not too small like a small camera, but it's not a big VHS camera where you have to carry this heavy thing around, which obviously you'll get caught if you record it on that. So it was half the size of a VHS tape. What we did is our routine was, okay, let's go to this house show. Oh, you got your camera, you got your tape, you got your battery set up. Boom, you have to have two. Back then, 96, 95, you have to have two batteries, you have to have two tapes. Just make sure you have enough tape, you have enough battery, so you're good. How we did it was we'd walk in. We would never be like, oh, Jay or Manny, or we would like, oh, make sure you hide it, make sure you hide. Oh, be careful, do this, do that. It was never like that. It was just a normal routine where we would just walk in. He would have his camera on the side of, he would have a strap, boom, goes to security. Half the time he would get stopped. And when he would get stopped, they would ask him what's in the bag. He would actually open up the bag and say, oh, it's just a camera. Because they wouldn't think little kids, 16, 17-year-olds were going to bring a video camera in and to film a stupid house show that has the same results all the time. No title changes, nothing like that, nothing special. So he would just say it's just a camera, and all the security would believe him, and we would just walk right in. We never hid it under our pants. We never hid the battery here, hid the camera here. It was out in the open, and we just walked right in. That's how easy it was.
Manny, how crazy has it been that we're still talking about this 25 years later? I mean, I know you've done a bunch of click videos that are on the WWE Network. You were actually just recently on the Shawn Michaels A&E biography. So talk about what it's been, what a whirlwind it must be for you. 25 years later, they're still talking about this one small clip video that you guys did all these years later.
Yeah, it goes to show you, wow, 25 years. Have I been a fan that long? It's actually been since I was like 8. So it's like 96, 10 years even before that. So 35 years of being a fan. And you're like, wow, all that time. It's amazing because in the beginning when we first filmed it, we never thought it was anything like ridiculously special, even though at the end it was awesome. But it never really took off the way that it has in the last, I would say, probably the last 5 years, and especially in the last year or two, because we would never hear anything from other people or other fans that, you guys created this, you guys created Austin 316, you guys created Attitude Era, you guys created that. It's like, oh, I never really thought of that. I just thought we captured a really cool moment. And it started making its way onto DVDs, the NWO Black and Black, Triple H DVDs in the early 2000s, but I never got contacted with anybody. But also the fact is, I never went out to contact anybody or say that I filmed that or me and Jason filmed that, because I was hiding away from the fact that we did that, because I didn't want to even hear about the curtain call because of the fact the way it got leaked out. And it bothered me a lot, to the point where I just put it out of my mind like it didn't even exist. So whenever I would see it on any kind of WWE DVD or wherever it was, I would see it, it would just make me cringe. And I was just like, oh, I didn't even want it. It's like, we didn't get recognition for it. I don't even want to see it. So it wasn't until the WWE reached out to us the first time in late 2014. I was like, you know what? I haven't done anything interview wise, video wise. I haven't even told my personal friends that I filmed, even people I was so close to, and we would wrestle together or just wrestling and talking about wrestling. I would never bring it up. Only maybe a few knew about it. And then I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go out and talk about it, I'm going to do it for the right company, for the WWE. And that's where I came out and did that first interview for the Click Rules.
Well, Manny, it begs one other question from me, and I've had my fair share of my run-ins with WWE Legal. What was that first phone call like? When and how did they get in touch with you? What was that like the very first time? Obviously, some of the great minds in WWE Legal have to obviously have a conversation with you. I'm sure how did that whole thing go down? I'm sure you didn't pick up your phone and Triple H was on the other end asking for, to discuss everything. It probably went through some back office people, but talk about that for a minute, because I've certainly had my fair share of run-ins with the WWE legal department.
How it started is WWE.com made an article about, okay, this is 18, 19 years, and on WWE.com, and all the guys from there, I'm not sure who it was, but all the guys had a history. I mean, basically they would explain what went down that night. And Jason happened to reply on that. Oh, I was the guy that filmed it with my friend. If you ever want to contact me, this is how you can get in touch with me. And he never really thought about anything after making that comment. I wouldn't do that because I was just too, I don't know, I was too hard-headed to even acknowledge that we did it. It's like, what's the point? It's like, if they want to get in touch with us, they could find us. We already had a friend that worked with WWE at the time, known him for many years. Like, they would obviously know where to find us. So a couple months go by, Jason gets a email on his LinkedIn or whatever, and they said, hey, we got your message and we're making a Click DVD. Would you like to be on it? At first he was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, he's like thinking about it. It's like, wait, you guys used all this footage for many years. What else could you want from me possibly? Yeah, we'd like you to come and talk about it for the first time. And he goes, I'll only do it if Manny would come on, because Manny was that magical, screaming, annoying Mark voice that at first everybody hated, and now everybody loves that voice, and it's used in clips all over the place. And that was real emotion. That's raw emotion. So that was the first time they contacted us, and then we shot for that, and it's been a wonderful experience since then. And the fan response from all over, it's every day now. It's like, I would be lying if I said the current call isn't my everyday existence now, because I have to deal with it every day, whether I want to or not. From people on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram just randomly message me, all positive response. remember, it was like 15 years that I just stayed away from it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Now it's just like, oh, okay, I'll accept this. It's cool, and the fans were awesome. They're all positive. I'm just a fan like that. They are as well. So
Yeah, well, it's a very big part of wrestling history that you filmed, and everybody loves that. This is actually a question of Rob that he and I discussed yesterday. Uh, During that night, where were you guys seated in Madison Square Garden for the curtain call?
okay, this is a very good question. That we would purposely sit in the 300 section because before pandemic, we would always be in the front row. I would always be in the front row. But before that, in the 90s, we purposely sat in the 300 section as far away as possible from any attention, from any kind of security. We would stay away from the 200 section. We would stay away from the 100. Obviously, we wouldn't sit on the floor. And we would only stay in that section because we were further out, and with the camera, at least you can still catch everything and not be too far away. I mean, back in the day, those cameras and everything, it's like you're not going to get 4K video, but you're going to get a pretty good video. And another thing I wanted to talk about is being sitting that far back recording. You're not going to get the best quality tape, but we still have the original tape, which other people are like, oh, this is a grainy quality, this is bad quality. And what you saw the first time on the 1997 edition of Raw, that was like the worst quality I've ever seen. It's like, that's what pissed me off. It's like, not just that the fact that they used our footage on Raw without me knowing, I'm just watching, it's there. It was just so, I was like, why is this such a bad quality? Couldn't you get a better quality of this? And over the years, they got better versions of it, but my quality is like pretty good. You can actually see faces clearly, so it's like, I don't know how many generations of VHS have been copied until they got whatever Shawn Michaels got his hands on the first time. And from thereafter, I don't know, but their quality is terrible.
What it just blows my mind that you know with everything that we have, nowadays we have the WWE Hidden Treasures. Have they reached out to you about possibly getting their hands on that the tape, the actual tape, because that obviously is a huge part of wrestling history. I mean, it really is.
Here's the thing. I always thought about it, and I know it's eventually going to happen, but not yet. I know they're doing the whole hidden treasures thing they want to preserve everything for a physical museum or a Hall of Fame, something like that within the next year, 2, 3 years, wherever it is. So I do have it here, even though it's their tape, but I have the physical original here, which is nice. So I would say in a few years, you never know, they might use that in the museum.
Nice.
That was a good question, Rob.
Is it locked away? Is it locked away in a safe? Because God forbid,
Rob,
your house would have burned down or something like that. I hope it's locked away, something really, really secure.
Rob, you asked the question before I answered, so that's awesome. Out of the 350 VHS tapes I have, the curtain call is the only one I have locked up in my closet.
Nice.
And it's not in a safe. It's not anywhere else where the other tapes will be, where in the storage where all my wrestling memorabilia is, my chairs, just about everything is there. I don't keep that there. Who knows? That place might, like you said, might burn down, or someone might break into it. At least my tape is secure with me. It's like, you'll have to kill me to get it, in a way.
Well, if you ever need a secure place, you can come down to Orlando, Florida, here with me, and I'll store it in a very secure place. I give you my word.
Beautiful. And you know what it is? It's like the curtain call tape means a lot to me. I might happen to have it right next to me, if it's okay for you guys to see.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is the part that A&E edited out, because obviously, you know, they have to smush everything from 1 hour to 2 minutes of me talking. So I don't mind showing it. I mean, I did show it for A&E, but obviously that was edited out. So let's see if I can find it a couple of feet away from me, and there it is.
Nice.
Oh my
That
God.
is the curtain call tape with original magazine stickers of WWF World Tour de Force, biggest event of '96 on the VHS tape. As you can see, that's the writing. The writing actually says MSG bootleg, May 19, 1996. The real Click. So it doesn't say curtain call or farewell to the Click. Was when we taped it, it was not called the curtain call. It was not called farewell to the Click. I just called it the Click tape because that's how I knew they became the Click. And this is the tape, you know, straight from the camcorder. This is it.
Now, did you
And
have
that's
an
the back of it.
did you have an idea of what was actually going down and what you were seeing when this was happening? Because back then, I've always been I've always been the person that said internet killed wrestling. And the reason I say that is because nowadays, if Daniel Bryan's contract is up or Kevin Nash's contract is up, we know when it's up and where he's going, and it's already been planned, et cetera, et cetera. But back then, we didn't have that sort of thing. So did you and your friend have an idea of what you exactly were, what was going down, and that they were leaving and this was it? And you know, we just broke 18 walls of kayfabe and Jim Cornette somewhere was having a stroke?
Yes, actually, I had to know what was going on because I had an 800 hotline at the time that I started when I was 16 years old, and even before that, it was a video gaming system that had live gaming. It was called Xband, and I would have a newsletter through that I would update every day before I had the hotline. So when I see all these internet sites blow up, it's like I could have gone that route, and I went from that to having an 800 hotline. So I had to know everything that was going on. I would have quite a few different sources of getting my news from, and how I found out that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were leaving were from Howard Finkel. And Howard Finkel's hotline wasn't really a hotline. It was like you call up, oh, this place is a new town coming for signing, autograph signing, or this is our next house show here and there. And he would never mention any news until one time I called up, and I had to call it over and over again just to make sure. And he said that Razor Ramon, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were leaving using their real names, which many people didn't know at the time. I did because I was the smart Mark Jabrone. So I was like, oh, wow, did he really say that? And this was, Scott Hall always says, I gave my 90-day clause, whatever. But I knew in January because I remember the month that I called that hotline, and he said that in January. So all this time that many people, because we didn't have really much newsletters and things going out, so you had to be in to know what's going on. And I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. I'm mean, 4 months before I know that they're leaving. This is crazy. And it was like, I didn't believe it, but it was just like, wow, it's amazing. I didn't think that Howard Finkel would say something like that, considering he's not a hotline guy or someone that would spill beans like that. But he actually did that.
I honestly had no idea that like he had his own hotline to like make money off of that type deal, you know, to be part of basically what helped fuel Dirt Sheets. I had no idea. Did you know that, Rob?
I didn't until Manny just said that now. You know, but thinking back to it, with Mean Gene having left, and Mean Gene actually had the hotline at WWE before.
Yes.
You know, somebody had to take it over, and the back then, Lee, those 900 numbers were big money, because every kid, myself included, was blowing $3.75 a minute, dialing these 900 numbers, and they were quite the profit center. And I know Mean Gene, or Scheme Gene, if you will, always had good stuff on his hotline. And I didn't know that Howard had taken it over, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, that really is. One thing I do know about you, Manny, is that you have been able to work with the Iron Sheik. What was that
Correct.
like? What's he like?
It's probably the most amazing experience you'll ever have because the character lives on in his real life. It's constant. Camera on, camera off. I've been with him many times, and it's the same person you're gonna get. It's all legit. He lives his character, which is awesome. It's nice to have that because back then, it's like you had to live your character, but even in the 2000s, 2020s, he's still that same guy. I love doing the shoot interviews with him and just him getting on Howard Stern and the whole YouTube thing that I created for him to get his fame kind of back into the spotlight, which was nice because I always wanted all the people in the world to see that he's a funny guy, and he became so loved because of all that YouTube stuff that I put out there. Before that, everybody would just think he's this really bad guy, or he's the ultimate Iranian heel. And it also helped that we're from the same country, so we connected well.
Sheiky's a great guy. I love Sheiky, so I'm glad that you did that with Sheiky. That those videos have been great, and I just saw Sheiky last year. Actually, during the pandemic, I went down to his house, and he's still, like you said, he lives his gimmick. He loves it, and believe me, anybody who's got a chance to be around him, they know he's not the bad Iranian. He's actually the really, really fun American.
Absolutely, and he's so funny. Just some of the things he says naturally. Like we were doing a shoot interview one time in Queens, and he looks over and he sees a gumball machine. Everybody knows what a gumball machine is. He goes, "Oh, Baba, what is this kind of gimmick? What is that?" It's like it's something that everybody would know, and it was just so funny. He didn't recognize what a gumball machine was.
Manny, have you watched Brett Azar portray Iron Sheik on NBC's The Young Rock?
I have not, but when I get the time, I definitely will. How did he do? He did a good job.
I thought he did all right.
We've had him on the show, and I'll include the link, and I'm also going to include the Iron Sheik links that shoot interviews you've done with him too. He does good. He does good. He's did a good job. I was pleased with how it came out, and Iron Sheik actually talked to him about it, helped him with the character. But one of the funny things was that Brett tells this story was Iron Sheik called him after seeing him for the first time, and he goes, "Baba, why you no effing swear?"
That's Sheiky.
Yeah, and Brett goes, "Sheiky, it's NBC. They don't swear on TV."
Mm-hmm.
It was just so funny. It was a great experience. How did you feel that WWE did with WrestleMania Backlash ending at the perfect time for fans to go watch the A&E documentary of Shawn Michaels? Because that's one thing we talked about. We weren't sure if they were going to end the pay-per-view at 10 or 11. And how did you feel that came out?
I guess it worked out for the better. You got to look at it this way: that the pay-per-view had to run on a Sunday, and A&E had the 8 or 10 episodes that had to be on a Sunday at pretty much around the same time. So it fell on the slot that, on the Shawn Michaels episode, but that's okay. The Shawn Michaels episode is actually airing all weekend. It airs again in the next 7 minutes, which is nice, and then again at midnight, and then tomorrow again at 6 p.m., which is cool, So for those that missed it, they get to watch it, when they can.
Manny, do you still get to keep in touch with the Click members? Kevin, Scott, Sean, Hunter?
Not really. I haven't in a while, but as far as The producers for A&E, I still talk to them. The producers for WWE, I still talk to them here and there, but that's about it.
Well, you definitely got to come out to a New York show when Kevin and Scott are around. I'm sure especially if Kevin brings out the red wine, we'll have us a good time.
No, we definitely will. Just as long as, well, then again, I made a new fan the other day. His name is Jim Cornette. He had some nice things to say about me on his podcast or whatever radio interview. 2 days ago in the morning, I woke up, I get a text. Oh, Jim Cornette just buried you. He blames you for all of it, specifically you. And he said he wants to slap the shit out of you because you're a piece of shit. I'm like, oh, cool.
Well, if it's any consolation, Jim has felt that way about you since day one. So, but you're in a great club because Jim is not fond of many people. I don't think Jim likes his dog. So, you're in a club of many people.
No, that's a good thing because I love Jim, and that actually made my day because I was just laughing and crying so hard for so long when I found out about that. And then I actually heard it. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. But the fact is, like, he blames me for leaking it out and everything. I taped it, but I never leaked it out outside of Madison Square Garden. It's the WWE that aired it on 97, and they're the ones that put it out there. So it wasn't me, but I'll take the credit for it if he wants to say that.
Well, in fairness to everybody, whether it was taped, leaked, whatever the case may be, it was Kevin, Scott, Sean, and Hunter that decided to actually do the action. You just happened to catch it on tape. So, Jim should take a couple steps back and understand that there were 4 guys in that ring that enabled you to tape that night. So, they played a bigger hand than just the videotaping of it.
Sure. It's like I wasn't the one that did the curtain call. I wasn't even in it. I just happened to film it. I could understand when people saying the video itself helped the Attitude Era or Austin's career. But, I said on the A&E interview, it didn't air, but I told him, I think Steve Austin's career would have still happened. I think the Attitude Era would have still happened. Kane's character, whatever, with or without the video. I still believe that it wasn't us that helped do that. If you want to say that, that's fine. I mean, I'll take that, but I still never saw it that way. It's only the last like 2-3 years that people have been saying that, just the last few years, and it's just become big. It's like, whoa, okay, that's fine.
Oh, wow. All right. Manny, I got to ask, where can fans follow you on social media?
On social media, I'm on Instagram, WWE Curtain Call Kid. And on Facebook, my name, Manny Mohtadi, MANI MOHTADI.
Awesome. Manny, Rob and I have had a fantastic time speaking with you today. This has been some very insightful stuff. Fans, make sure you go find Manny on social media, give him a follow, a like, friend request him. If he's gonna accept it, that's up to him. I can't determine that. But Manny, I had a great time.
Way to plug Manny's social media. He's not going to accept you.
And you know what? The questions you guys asked were like right on, because these are the things I actually wanted to talk about: the tape and how we smuggled it in or walked in with it. Those are the questions I wanted to actually get out of the way, and you guys asked that, which is awesome.
Manny, do you still happen to have the camera?
No, the camera is probably long destroyed. Who knows where that camera is?
I was just saying, because I'm still back on that WWE Treasures thing. I know. They are going to come hunting for you. So maybe sooner rather than later, Scott and Kev are going to be showing up on your door looking for that tape, and I figured they'd want the camera as well. So that way they could make sure there's no more evidence of any of this curtain call stuff.
Right. So, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll go on eBay and find an 80s camera and just replicate it. But you know what? I can't replicate this because this is the original, and it's only been viewed 3 times. And I pulled the tab off so it can't be recorded over. I preserved it. It's called generation loss. That's why I only viewed this 3 times, because every time you view it, every time you copy it, it loses the quality. So I
Wow.
tried to preserve it. Yep.
Oh, wow. I did not know that either.
Me neither.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of Perched on the Top Rope. And for this one time only, I'm going to say it this way. Ladies and gentlemen, spoiler free's not the way to be. We're out.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching that video. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit subscribe so you can get all our content here at Perched on the Top Rope. And fans, remember, spoiler free's the way to be. I'm out.